And by the way, news update. Today is National Frog Day.
Oh, who's vegan now? Oh, never mind. It's a frog update.
Frogs are not vegan. Sorry.
Well, I mean, I feel like I know some vegans who eat insects, and I feel like they don't really...
That's fucking weird.
Well, for one, it's impossible to be vegan because everyone eats spiders.
Oh, shut up.
It's
impossible to be vegan because we live in houses and drive cars.
Oh no, one of my plants died because I wasn't paying attention.
See, you're not vegan.
Oh, fuck. I just want a skit where a vegan guy follows people around and like they step on a spider on accident and they're just like, up, you're out of the club,
time
buddy.
To turn in my card. It's
like, did you buy that bread from a Kroger grocery? You know how many animals are killed during the plowing of the wheat fields? It's like, God damn it.
You might as well just go live in the woods somewhere.
Even then, like that, a deer could have lived in that house in the woods that you built.
You're displacing that deer.
Also, imagine like how annoying it would be for animals because they go out into the woods so they can talk English without us knowing, and then we're there, and now they can't talk because then we'll know their secrets.
Yeah, all the animals speaking English.
Honeys, we're home.
Hello, and welcome to episode 30 of Sinclairity A Dinosaurs Tale. I am your host. We're going to need another Timmy, along with my co-host.
Hey, this is Ben Handupme.
Hi, Ben. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing okay. How are you doing this week?
Well, I got paid and I got my stimmy, so...
It's pretty dope. Got my stimmy, blew it on a Hemi. No, I actually just paid off some credit card debt. And I did buy a Robbie Sinclair action figure off of eBay. I'm still waiting on the rock phone that I ordered weeks ago, but we'll see.
Yeah, sometimes you have to get a subscription to get your rock phone.
I gotta get
they get you in the
Dinosaurs Illustrated or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Dino Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
But there's a topic that you wanted to bring up before we got into this episode this week.
Yeah, and honestly, it's kind of we're doing Nuts to War Part 2, by the way, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, if you joined us last week, we did Nuts to War Part 1, and now we're going to conclude the sweeping miniseries this week.
Yeah, but I think it's almost relevant, even though we didn't. I guess we kind of brought it up in the first episode we did, just about negative stereotypes that this like 2-part episode brings up, and all the references to war and all that kind of stuff. But we mostly wanted to just take a quick moment in this show here to just talk about, not specifically, but the recent attacks in Atlanta that were clearly racially motivated. Just the continuation of awful white terrorism that we see in this country.
Yeah, and then like the differences in the way it's reported in the media, where they keep talking about how this kid had a bad day and he was just having a tough time that he was dealing with, and it's like, he's a fucking terrorist.
He's
is hateful.
Yeah, he's a sex addict.
Yeah. So he's just a racist incel, and that's like, you're just gonna paint that differently. But if somebody like is selling UCDs outside of his store gets killed by a cop, they're like, well, he was doing something illegal. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And there's been such a big increase, especially in the past year, of anti-Asian hate in America, and it's gross.
Mm-hmm. Like since we started this, when we started this podcast at the beginning of the pandemic, basically, like the narrative was always pushed that this was from China and that they're to blame and all this kind of stuff. And then it kind of like, I think the whole world, the whole nation, really got caught up in the Black Lives Matter movement and stuff like that, and which is awesome. And Black Lives still matter. and like now it's just getting just as bad. Well, not just as bad. It's still been pretty fucking bad for people of Asian descent in this country.
Yeah, I mean, we live in a country with a history of like internment camps and like a lot of different like really fucked up things that have happened to people from Asia who've immigrated here, and it's terrible. And you know, every week if you look at our description, we have like a link for resources for Black Lives Matter and a link for resources for like housing, fair housing and shit. But we're adding a link this week for anti-Asian violence resources.
Yeah,
that you can check out. And what was that organization that you and I both donated to earlier?
Oh, jeez, I forget the name.
It was NQAPIA.
Yeah, it's basically basically an organization that focuses on LGBTQIA people within the South, the Asian American, the Southeast Asian, basically the whole.
Pacific Islander organization. It's just like covers that whole realm, and like it's just very important because like, you know, LGBTQIA is a super affected group by a lot of discrimination, and even more so when you're a person of color and from a different ethnic background.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to remember that when you say Asian, like the continent of Asia, I know it's just borders, like fake borders that someone drew up, but it's humongous. So it encapsulates a lot of countries, a lot of different cultures. So it's a lot. It's kind of like a loaded term almost, but you see throughout history, like when it like Ben mentioned, the internment camps in the 40s, and then from World War II we go immediately into the Korean War, and then from the Korean War we go to Vietnam, and then after Vietnam, a lot of the Middle East conflicts that go on during the Cold War. It's kind of been like the big bad boogeyman for us. Yeah,
it cultivates this big like where you think the enemy all looks like a certain type of people type thing. It's I don't know, it's a gross history that we have, especially just as white people in America, of perpetuating and benefiting from. And it sucks. So we just wanted to bring that up on the forefront of this episode.
Yeah, just because like this whole series that they did is basically about, it's not directly about that, but it hits home a lot with a lot of the themes in the episode.
Yeah, because it's the same thing when you talk about like Desert Storm and like the war in Iraq and everything, is it became this whole other thing where several decades were specifically targeting Middle Eastern countries. Like it's, I don't know, it's the thing that repeats itself, and people need to actively be fighting against it and denouncing people for spreading like racist invective and shit in our country.
Yeah. So if you don't like that, we said that, then you can just.
How did you get this far in the podcast to begin with?
I don't know why. If you're listening,
if you can suss out our ideals by this point,
and if you're listening to that and you disagree with us, you can just.
Adam Carolla has a podcast you can check out. Like,
there's
get the fuck out.
You got plenty. You got your Ben Shapiro's and your Steven Crowder. Like, you have a safe place.
You got your Rogans. You got your PragerUs.
You have your safe place to run to. So
Snowflake.
That's for you. And
but
yeah, check out the bio in this episode. We'll leave it in there, just like the Black Lives Matter link that we have in there. Check out those resources if you want to help or donate, or if you're someone who could use help from those resources, they can help you as well.
Yeah. And you can always email us if you want any more information about this at sinclaritypodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter at A Dinosaurs Tale. Like, we'll talk to you about this shit. I'll talk to you about it.
Yeah.
But, so we're just trying to make the future like this utopian Pangea where we can all love each other.
Yeah.
And then maybe the Sinclair family will melt from their frozen cube
and
rejoin us.
And maybe we can have a conflict that doesn't get past spitting.
Yeah, let's stick to swap and spit.
I'm fighting over snacks.
So like I said, this episode 30 of our podcast. So we've been releasing these 30 weeks straight now, which is crazy. Pretty much 30 weeks. I mean, I think we fit like a bonus in the middle of a week at one point, but yeah. It's pretty wild. We've been recording it for like a year now too, almost.
Yeah,
a year now.
Plus, and we'll have a bonus episode coming up soon with our interview with Bill and Jean Beretta, which is really fun.
That will come out a week after this one. So get excited for that. That'll be really cool.
It's really fun. So we're doing Nuts to War Part 2. There's not much like. I don't think the writers or director changed at all.
It changed. The only thing that changed is that David A. Kaplan and Brian LePan had a bigger hand in this one than Part 1.
Okay.
Because, it says they wrote the teleplay. And as we learned from Tim Doyle, sometimes they, like, throw that kind of thing around to spread the money.
Yeah.
So they're probably like, we're giving Steve 2 episodes in a row. It's a little much. Maybe we need to give a little bit of credit to the Kaplan and LePan, the writers for the Smothers Brothers, or whatever they are. Whatever joke we made about them in the past.
Yeah.
I know. Isn't David Kaplan produced like the Muppets 2015 series? I think
it's possible. I don't know if Bill.
I know he stuck around with a bit of Muppets. I saw it while watching, so I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then it's still directed by Rachel Bilson's grandpappy. So
we're not gonna stop.
Call him Bruce.
We're not gonna stop until we got Bruce on the show.
The quick summary of this one is Earl and Roy join Charlene as USO entertainers, which is the uninhibited sisters of other guys, and they rush to the front to retrieve Robbie because it looks like this war thing is getting a little bit out of hand. Earl tries to stop Robbie from going through with the war, but Robbie ignores his father's wishes.
Yeah, and it's pretty much, it starts right where we left off in the first episode, which we'll get to eventually. But is there any kind of trivia you have for this episode, Ben?
Just one that comes up on almost every episode is 2 scenes were removed and a little bit of dialogue was dubbed over from syndication on Disney later on. And I wish we could find like some files of the Disney airing of the episodes, as well as, because we mentioned, I thought about this recently. We mentioned that they originally did the show with a laugh track, but that didn't air that way. But I believe I rewatched the same thing, and it did say that they did air it that way.
Really?
It was the first 5 episodes were aired with a laugh track.
Oh my god! And
it was removed.
Damn it! You're right. That's something we should ask Tim or Bill. Well, maybe Tim. I don't know if
Tim would have probably been more on it.
Yeah. But yeah. There is a part, we'll get to it because I made a specific note of it. I found one of the overdubs. I don't know if there are more, but I caught one of the overdubs. And it's
like in what we were watching. Did you watch it on like Disney Plus?
Yeah,
or
I watched it on Disney Plus.
Oh, I did not. So we might have something different here.
Yeah, it's a weird one. We'll get into it, but
we'll see. Yeah. But yeah, let's get us into this episode. Thanks for sticking around for that long intro.
Yeah. And we're not going to apologize either. So the episode the episode begins with,
you say ends?
Yeah, god damn it.
This episode begins with a song of rebellion.
God. The episode begins with the scrawl that we saw in the other one, and it's funny because the voiceover is just like dinosaurs and ABC presents Nuts to War, which I think was, and it's the Antediluvian
Broadcasting Company.
Yeah, and I thought that was funny.
I had to bring this up. I don't remember if we sent this in our Sinclairity group chat, but there was this, like, it might have been a different group chat, and there's this screenshot I saw of a lady complaining in a group, ABC News group, about how every article is about Australia, and she's like, I don't understand what happens here, but every single article in my feed is about Australia, and they're like, this is the Australian Broadcasting Company. This is not the ABC you're looking for.
Oh my god, yeah.
I thought it's so funny. This lady was just like pissed off.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, but in our case, in this episode, it's Antediluvian.
Yeah, it's Antediluvian, and it's basically just it's just kind of recapping it, but then it's like, but now we're gonna recap it like double time, so it just does like a fast forward of everything that happened in the last episode.
Yeah, I like during that speed up, it's like pretty quick. It's just like, Earl's watching TV, ran out of pistachios, and Handupme on TV explains there's no nuts anywhere. And like, but then it's like, and then there were some commercials. Buy now, buy now, buy now.
And back to the show. And he finishes it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And then Roy and Earl have to dress up as big, ugly USA girls.
Yeah, he specifically says.
It's just rude. They both look fly as fuck.
Yeah, so it starts with part Part 3, nuts at the front.
and this is funny. We get a Bob Hope dinosaur at the beginning of this doing like a stand-up special.
Oh, it's so bad.
I mean, Bob Hope.
I know. But his first joke is, last time I saw this many teenage boys in one place, my daughter was in heat.
The worst. Now we know dinosaurs apparently go in heat, so there we go. And it's funny because there's like these two dinosaurs I refer to in the notes as being like in Statler and Waldorf.
Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed that too. That's the first
boy
thing
that joke boy, that joke was already old back in the early Jurassic period. Like, hey, he's an institution and he brings the babes with him. What's funny about this is he's an institution, but this is the first war. Yeah. So where was he going before? Where was he an institution at?
I didn't even realize that. That's a good point. That's really funny. And then he does the, I'm not saying you guys are the
don't read my notes.
Yeah.
I did that wrong.
I'm not saying you guys are young, but the last canteen I saw had a nipple on it.
Which, like, that could be any age.
That dies. Like... It dies on a vine, and he's just like, a nipple.
It's funny because they keep doing the rim shots, but nobody's like, they're like,
yeah, and then it shows the guy to the side with the cue cards, and he's showing them the jokes.
Is this an audience or a cave painting?
Yeah.
I went to like the Wright Pat Air Force Museum when I was like 20, mainly because I'm terrified of giant things like planes and stuff up close to them. Riding them, I don't care. It doesn't bother me. But I don't know, they make me uncomfortable. And I went there for that reason, but the main thing I remember is there was this huge Bob Hope thing going on there where they had like a bunch of like a bunch of uniforms he wore at USO trips and like videos of him doing the tours, and like it was weird.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was funny or not. They would have had to get at least a decent comedian for me to go to war. Not just him and Henry Rollins, who I remember also doing a lot of USO tours.
Doug Stanhope.
Jesus.
So backstage, we cut to the backstage, and Earl and Roy, they're all dressed up as the Sinclair sisters, and Earl's really worried about Robbie, but all Roy can think about is that his dress isn't the right fabric.
Yeah, it doesn't breathe, and he's not wearing any. We're not wearing any dress shoes. They don't wear shoes anyway.
Yeah,
except Spike.
And Charlene is also nervous, and she's like she has stage fright, and Roy's just like, just imagine the audience in their underwear.
2,000 teenage boys in their underwear. See you on stage. Yeah, I like Earl shouting at her when she runs away to like, hey, you put their clothes back on right now.
Yeah, plus they don't wear any pants, so what underwear?
Exactly. Underwear.
Under there.
Yeah. But then Bob Hope, which by the way is Ed/Mel Luster's dinosaur. Yeah. To paint the picture, introduces them as the syncopating Sinclair sisters, which is a play on the Andrews sisters. I looked up and found this out, which I guess performed at a lot of USO tours.
Yeah.
And they go up and they do a cover of the Andrews sisters' Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy.
Yep. Which was
a standard for USO shows.
Yeah, we I remember that song from like grade school. I think the teacher who did the morning announcements would play that sometimes. It's very weird.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
I have never heard the song until this.
Really?
Yeah.
It is a very, like, it's a pretty famous song. Like,
yeah. And then I remember we talked to Bill Beretta about this dance routine, because he had talked about how Leif Tilden and him were roommates, and they like would work on dances together at the home, which is why they like Leif choreographed the one from the Happy Leaf episode between Robbie and Earl, because Leif's in the Robbie costume and Leif was a Ninja Turtle, and this one, the one Charlene costume, the person performing there is Michaelin or Michaela? I'm not 100%. Misha. I think that like short for their full name though.
Yeah. They on the Brother Brothers podcast they call him Misha.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
They call him Misha. Yeah, and Misha was Michelangelo.
I think it might be Michelle actually. maybe.
Well, I mean,
Or
that's not how it's spelled,
Yeah.
so I wasn't sure.
Yeah. I don't.
But
Either way.
yeah, he was Leaf and Misha, who are Robbie and Charlene, were Ninja Turtles, which we've discussed before, but it's still an interesting fact. Especially later in this episode, Robbie, like, he emotes very Ninja Turtle like at different times. It's very funny to me.
He emotes and he fucking climbs a ladder and stuff. It's pretty wild.
It is pretty wild. But yeah, so after the Bugle Boys song, it transitions into Earl doing this like German accent while doing a Billie Holiday cover of "Falling in Love Again."
I don't know.
And what I like about this is he changes "Men flock around me" to "Males flock around
They
me."
have to stay consistent. That was some writer assistant.
Yeah, it was pretty fucking funny.
Yeah, and then after during this song becomes one of my favorite jokes in the episode. This is like a joke catered specifically to me and Ben because
Yeah, they knew we would eventually review this episode.
yeah, and Earl, he asks a soldier in the audience. He's like,
which is it's Needle Nose, I'm pretty sure, his costume.
yeah, and the big stupid hat. And then he's like, "Hey, do you have a female waiting back home for you?" And he says, "My mother." And and Earl suggests, "Geez, you should really try dating someone outside of your immediate family."
Whoa, step bro.
What a mother lover.
I'm a mother lover, you're a mother lover. I don't want to give money to Justin Timberlake at the end of this episode, so I'll stop. But yeah, they go back into one more Andrew Sister song. They do "Don't Sit Under the Apple Tree," but they change it to "Pistachio Tree."
And also during Earl's solo, Charlene's playing piano, which I think is pretty funny.
That is funny.
Yeah.
Does it ever... I remember there's an episode, it shows like Robbie playing guitar for the family at some point. I feel like it might show her playing piano in a different montage at some point.
Maybe, but she's just jamming out there like Rolf.
That happens in sitcoms and TV shows a lot during like scenes in holiday episodes or montages where one of the family members suddenly is playing piano in the background during a party. Mm-hmm. And like, of course, I've never had a piano in my house. I'm not fucking Rockefeller or whatever.
And you're not signed to Rockefeller either.
Yeah, and I'm not the Young Rock, so I just, which wait, never mind. We'll talk about Young Rock another time, but I'm excited about this. Fuck Young Sheldon. Young Rock is here,
and fuck Young SpongeBob.
What the fuck is Young SpongeBob?
That is a thing right now, or is it?
Oh, no.
Or is it Young Patrick? I don't know. I don't know,
but
there's a new show.
I'll reiterate. Kid Shrek would be better.
Yeah. So yeah, they sing "Under the Pistachio Tree," like "Wait for Me under the pistachio tree," and during that, the Statler and Waldorf lighting guys are just like, "Meet me after the show, huh?"
Yeah, and Charlene is like blowing kisses at the audience as she's exiting the stage after Roy and Earl.
Yeah, she's very. Very
she's found her calling.
Exactly.
So because in the next scene we're backstage and Earl notes that he didn't see Robbie, but like Roy and Charlene aren't even concerned. Roy is just like, they love us. One guy threw me his keys.
That's the part. That's the overdub part, Ben, and on Disney Plus.
What is it on Disney Plus?
Roy's voice is changed. It's like a different voice actor. It totally changes.
Oh, so that's not what the original line would have been.
I don't know, but it like immediately.
I wonder what
changes.
they changed it from.
Underwear.
He's like, Roy's like, they love us. One guy fucked me. Like, what did they change?
One guy threw me his dick. Or
you know, like catcalling's bad enough, but when people just throw their dick to you,
it's basically like airdropping for dinosaurs.
Jesus.
So yeah, go back and watch the Disney
Sinclair
Plus.
dropping.
Watch the Disney Plus version again, and you'll notice it for sure. Like the total.
Well, I mean, like the version I saw had the same line, right? So
I don't know. I guess.
Wait, I said the guy threw me his keys. So
yeah,
did you hear something different?
No, that's what I heard. But the voice.
Okay, then I just didn't notice the voice change.
Yeah.
I wasn't focusing, I guess. So yeah, there must be a different line that was supposed to be there, and like the DVD also had it changed.
And it was like.
So let's see if we or anybody listening can find the original clip.
And it's like episode 28. That's what it was like.
Yeah, my quick up. Nobody probably noticed because like listening back, I feel like I only noticed because I remember that I said it in a question voice. I don't know. This is a weird thing. I overdubbed some weird shit in an episode recently. I changed episode 26 to episode 28, and I think it flew over everyone's heads.
Yeah, it was a little Easter egg there.
A little Hollywood magic.
Yeah. But yeah, so they get back. Yeah, they get backstage, and Charlene's like ecstatic. She's like, I found what I was born to do. I was born to give pleasure to whole groups of boys."
you and me both, Charlene.
And Earl's the only one like nodding on the like he's like no, we gotta find Robbie, and Roy's just like, I don't know, Pally boy. I think we work better as a trio.
Which is great, because just the fact that Roy already just thinks that they're working on the next act. But just watch after, he tells him to just watch after Charlene because he's going to keep looking for Robbie. So this is like a thing that's interesting because Earl and Robbie always are fighting constantly, but like this episode really focused on the fact that Earl does care about Robbie. Mm-hmm. He's just a shitty dad. That's the thing.
Yeah. And but before Earl can go and find Robbie, he is stopped by the
Turtlepuss.
The General Turtlepuss. And he pops and he's just like, hey, what are you doing? It's like, this is a war zone.
Yeah. He does tell Earl that he brought a ray of sunshine to the war zone. So he's hitting on Earl and he's trying to get him to go back like to his hotel room with him, basically. Mm-hmm. That's like the conceit of this conversation. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of things a man in my position can offer a hardworking girl like you. And Earl's like, believe me, I already have a lot of the things you have.
Yeah. He's like, I'm not the kind of girl that you think I am.
Really?
And then he's just like, for starters, perhaps you'd be interested in some silk stockings or chocolate.
And I like how this goes, like, Earl's continuing the voice, like, please, no, General, chocolates? Earl's so cute.
I don't know about you, Ben, but every time I hear silk stockings, I think of I think of Monday Night Raw in the 90s, because the show Silk Stockings was on every night after Raw. So that's what I think of.
It's something I did not pick up. I don't. What was the show? Did you ever find out?
I think it was like a
Silver Spoons,
like a lady spy show or something like that.
Ladies, you think ladies can be spies?
It's crazy, right?
It's like, I don't know, just hearing somebody say lady spies or like anything where somebody's like, yeah, it was a lady cop. It's like, oh,
a lady cop.
It sounds very diminutive or demeaning.
I don't know. I think she was like a spy. Like,
could have just said it was a spy. He chose to say lady spy.
Like spies.
Yeah, she was some female who spied on people.
Very.
But yeah, I did not pick up on that show existing.
Yeah, I don't think anyone else really would.
You're the only one who remembers it existed. But yeah, so Earl runs off to look for Robbie after he points him towards Roy first, is what he does.
Oh, yeah.
Because he and refers to Roy as Rita. Good time Rita is what the boys call her.
Good time Rita.
And Roy, the general goes and kisses Roy's hand and tells him he's got delicate hands, and Roy's like, "You've got a very round head."
Yeah.
And it's funny that Roy doesn't notice this is Turtlepuss.
He doesn't even know his own coworkers.
Doesn't even know his own labor friends.
Yeah, his labor friends, and basically Earl is just like pimping Roy out to this general here.
Yeah, it's a real grenade situation from Jersey Shore. It's not cool.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
I don't either. I've never seen it. Let's just move on.
Woo, woo, woo. And
I just like to slam my fist on the dance floor. I don't know.
Yeah, because Earl suggests that Rita should entertain the general, quote unquote. Yeah. Entertain.
Which just had to be hard for Earl to do, because Earl is in love with Roy. So, he is. But he knew that he had to jump on that grenade for him.
Exactly. But Roy is happy. He's never met a general before.
And also, let's say as Earl runs off to look for Robbie, that we're aware of the problematic nature of a lot of the jokes within this episode.
Yeah.
But I feel comfortable with it because I think that Earl and Roy look very hot in this episode. So
even if it is the wrong dress material for dancing.
Yeah. Yeah, I would prefer they be comfortable and have pockets.
You should always be. Yeah, that's no matter what kind of clothes you prefer to wear. Just be comfortable. Whatever.
Sometimes, in my opinion, sometimes being a hoe is more important than being comfortable, and that's just my life, and I live it.
I don't like to be cold or too hot. I don't like it.
That's why it's interesting living in New Orleans, because it doesn't get that cold. But today it was down to 40 after being like 90 last week. And I'm just like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, it was 55 this morning. I had to wear a sweater when I walked the dog.
I got excited to get to wear a hoodie though. Like I can do like my ideal temperature would probably be in the 60s, so I could wear something over my shirt if I wanted to, but didn't have to.
Yeah.
But now that I don't live in Ohio, to me, like, cold is 70. Like, it's embarrassing how quickly I acclimated to, like, oh, it's under 80 out? Brr.
I just like an excuse to wear my $60 sweater, because I paid a lot of money for a sweater, so I want to wear it.
Yeah, and I like an excuse to just go out naked. Just raw dog society.
Yeah, I moved to Florida for that.
Yeah, I sent you that meme about Florida, like wanting to go back to normal, and then normal in Florida.
Yeah.
It's just a hectic like collage of Florida man shit.
All of that stuff is relatable. I was trying to see if any of that was in where I live, like besides public. Public's obviously is, but
you're like, it technically could be where you live, but it's slightly different versions of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Florida's a wild place.
So we cut to back at the house, and Fran is there, and she's having
Monica. Our favorite character is with her.
Yeah, Monica comes over for dinner. Monica is a lady real estate agent.
Damn it. Oh, so fake estate.
Yeah, not real estate. She can't help the snakes either. So sorry.
I mean, like, what does she do at work? Just get coffee for her husband? But yeah.
So during this scene though, it's great because Fran has like a ready to eat like frozen dinner, and it's called "We Are Ready to Eat."
The official frozen dinner of Operation We Are Right.
Yeah,
and it's funny because the little like okay, before this happens though, like while she's getting it out, like she says something to Monica about like all the fresh meat is being sent over to the front line, and Monica's like, "Don't I know it?" Which is sus.
Yeah, she's single and ready to mingle.
Single and ready to pringle. Once you pop, the fun don't stop. But the little Unisword pops out of the box of the frozen dinner. It's like, frozen dinner reporting for duty, ma'am.
Yeah, he's very cold. And then
I love the shiver effect to like every like frozen food they have. It's really funny to me.
And then during that, the War Channel comes on, brought to you by We Say So. The government approved.
Oh, quick though. Can we make t-shirts with the frozen dinners from the show that say if you're cold, they're cold, bring them inside? But yeah, he cuts to the TV in the background to present the government-approved documentary to help you think correctly in these difficult times.
Yeah, and it's got the We Say So logo.
War profiteering is killing us all. Anyway.
The documentary was produced by a division of We Say So in cozy cooperation with the Defense Department.
Yeah, I love their cozy cooperation throw-in line. But yeah, so it's like this black and white documentary about the war, and it's a narrator talking about how in every town Pangea, people were taking their snack privileges for granted when an insidious evil darkness was cast upon the land.
Yeah, and it's like a puppet family, like they're all dinosaur puppets, and they're just like snacking, and it shows like an outside shot, and there's like a shadow of what's supposed to be like a four-legged dinosaur outside their door. Yeah,
and it switches to like this graphic of a bunch of giant dominoes hitting each other. It's like, first we lose pistachios, then we lose almonds, then our chosen form of government. Where does it end?
And then the final domino is our right to bear automatic weapons or something.
Oh, it's so prescient. It's so relevant still. It sucks.
Yeah, I love it. And I can't believe your work sponsored this this segment. Domino's.
Yeah, Domino's. Like, you're gonna out me for working at Domino's.
We can't say that. Uh-oh.
We can only talk about how Zach works at Home Depot because he put in his 2 weeks.
Zach, could you?
And Tim works at a vegan restaurant.
Could you take that out? Just bleep it out.
Oh no, you can keep the fact. Domino's, like, who cares?
Just put in Papa John's.
You gonna get me fired from a pizza restaurant? I doubt
it. Fran is basically feeling her. She's got her white fragility,
her green guilt.
Yeah, where she apologizes.
It's not easy being green.
She apologizes. She's like, I'm not like those other dinosaurs.
I'm one of the good ones. Yeah, she doesn't exactly say that, but you get the vibes are there.
Yeah, but then, like, Monica kind of backtracks where she's just like, oh, I'm sure they're showing the same propaganda on the
other side of the swamp.
Yeah.
And it's like, I made a note on this. This is some false ass equivalency because it's just completely different levels of, like, militarization and, like, I don't know, just quality of life between, like, the armies. Like, there wasn't, like, this is representing any conflict in the modern times. It's not like one equal force against another equal force. There's always somebody that's just fucking, like, massacring somebody else.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, I'm sure they have propaganda over there too, but it's probably true. Like, for the most part, like, we're being attacked by these fucking evil, like, I don't know. It's just funny to me that they try to, it's a weird thing to throw in. Probably ABC suggested to throw in something to make it seem like this is an equal playing field. I don't know. We're trying to like settle down from our social justice warrior stances a little bit in this episode. Tim got us halfway to settling down by bringing up lady spies and lady
real estate agents.
Luckily, we're 30 episodes in and everyone knows how much we hate Earl, so hopefully they understand the irony.
Yeah, and
can't nobody make jokes anymore.
I believe the Second Amendment covers my podcast.
Yeah, it's your right to make shitty podcasts. Is that the Second Amendment?
Yeah, I think that's what they wrote there.
I think it's Fran who says that the war is, or maybe it's Ethel who says that the war is making everybody act like children.
No, it's Fran.
It is Fran. Okay,
because then it cuts straight to the baby B story.
B movie starring Baby.
Yeah,
and it's just more like we mentioned this in the first episode that it's just like Wile E. Coyote shit, like Tom and Jerry shit. He's like setting up. Is this one where he's like setting up the dynamite?
Yeah, at least in this,
and it backfires.
At least in this episode, it's only like 2 scenes. Like, so it's not. Like...
It's still so unnecessary.
Yeah,
it was probably really fun to shoot though. Like it does look entertaining to produce, and like I think mainly the thing is maybe it's funnier to watch it now when we're not surrounded by every cartoon that we watch being exactly this plot. Because I feel like they're making a satire to reference to cartoons they grew up on, but we also grew up on those cartoons, so like they didn't go away yet. I feel like it's less relevant now.
Yeah, it's
even though Tom and Jerry just did have a new movie. They still fuck.
It's very silly, but I think the ending, which we'll get to, is kind of nice, but you know.
Yeah, it's only slight cringe, partially based.
Yeah.
But we Baby gets like launched across the room by the reverse firing TNT thing with the little cookie thief, and is like again, because he loves the abuse. He's like the singer of Offspring in that song Self Esteem.
What an incel!
He likes the
abuse.
It's
a fucking incel song.
If you go to my YouTube, I have a bunch of uploads of like Descendants songs, and all the comments are like, incel anthem, cuck anthem. It's so fucking funny. I'm like, you right. I uploaded those when I was a cuck. If I was a cuck.
Ben Handupme, former cuck. That's what it says on there.
There's too many cucks in the kitchen. But we get back to the battlefield now.
Yeah, they're
back to the war.
They're in the trenches. Like, so
yeah.
This is
kind of like in trenches in a bunker. It's kind of like, I don't really know.
It's like World War One. Like, it's just like a trench.
Oh, you were there?
Yeah. Me.
You are getting old.
Yeah, I'm getting pretty old. So yeah, Earl is like running around in there, which is hilarious that he made it that far. But he's running around. He's like, Robbie, where are you? It's Daddy.
And I like he stops to admire a poster of himself advertising war bonds that are being sold.
He's a war bonds.
Yeah, he's like, nice airbrushing.
Pin up.
This continues the plot like throughout most episodes of Earl making out with himself in the mirror, hitting on himself while pretending to be someone else. Like he's got Lizzo vibes. He's feeling himself. Like it's good. Yeah. It's good for Earl.
He is not feeling overwhelmed.
I wish we all saw ourselves the way Earl sees himself. Be a better world.
So yeah, and then like in the foreground, you hear like two dinosaur puppets, and it's just like, I'm hit. And he's like, he's like covered in spit because he's just like, wipe this guy down.
Yeah. Stat. Then get him down to the triage. Get him started on some paper towels.
Yeah. And I love.
So they're just cleaning spit and mud off each other.
Yeah, but then I love your note here, Ben, where Earl runs in the sexual hairs dressed like Captain Hook.
Watch the episode, Sinclairity listeners. That is what happens. The sergeant is Captain Hook. Look at the motherfucker, and it's Jason Alexander's puppet inside him.
Yeah, it is like, or as Bill and Gene refer to him as Gus. So I guess that's kind of like his Unisaur name, quote unquote.
Well, Gus was the second time we saw that costume too. Gus was the your profile picture. What's Aubrey?
Oh,
Aubrey's
yeah. Gus.
That's where they got that from. That was Gus.
Gus Molehill.
Yeah, Gus Molehill. So that's the thing. It's funny that that's their reference point, and then we just are like sexual Harris every time. Once sexual Harris became introduced, that's who he is.
You can see who had the bigger impact on who.
Yeah, and it's funny because they do keep bringing that. He's occasionally at work too, but not always, and he just doesn't go by Harris anymore, I don't think.
Yeah.
Probably Gus.
Yeah, and he's like concerned. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing down here, young lady?"
Bring me Pan. I'm sorry, I can't get over his outfit, but yeah, Earl notices that he's carrying a bunch of sticks, Captain Hook is, and he's like, notices, he's like, are you guys really throwing sticks? And he's like, it ain't candy canes, sweetheart.
How do you think I lost my eye? He's like,
running with scissors?
Wrong, it was a stick with my name on it, which is great.
And Earl is like, oh, that's what are the odds? It's funny to me because I accidentally put Roy in the notes, but that's because that's a very Roy response. Is like, Roy would definitely be like, with his name on it, really? And it comes back later too.
Yeah. So
when he gets hit by another stick, but it's funny.
So Earl sees Robbie. Robbie runs by with like another soldier and Spike, who's behind him. And like he's like, Robbie, and he's like, yes, ma'am.
Which is good that he gets to see. Like, I imagine being his dad and seeing him outside of context, be like, oh, he has manners. Like, but then he's like, it's me, Dad. I'm here to take you home.
Yeah, and he's just like, why?
Robbie's like, what the fuck are you? Yeah, why are you dressed like that?
and Earl, of course, went straight to, it was your mother's idea, which it was.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it was. That's true. And then Red Pill Spike posits. Oh, really? So, what's she wearing? Seems like this war is taking its toll on fellas back home, eh, Betty?
And then
I keep putting Roy in the notes. It's funny. But Earl hits Spike here, which is a soldier on the battlefield. I don't think you're allowed to do that. I could be wrong. Friendly fire is what they call it.
He likes it though. I think Spike.
Yeah, well, Spike, yeah. As we know from Robbie beating him up at school that one time.
Yeah, he likes when Earl hits him more though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So yeah,
but Earl tells Robbie that this isn't the war they signed up for, and it was supposed to just be some hissing and spitting.
but then Captain Hook Sexual Harris returns with his other eye missing from a stick, and Earl's just like, did that one have your name on it too?
That's so funny. And then Captain Hook tries to give this speech about how he's not giving up just because he's blind, but he's obviously staring at the wall and not facing anyone.
Yeah, he's like, who am I talking to?
And Robbie has to point it out. Yeah, when he tells Robbie that he's going to replace him as captain, he also posits in the middle of it. He's like, who are you again? Which is good.
Sinclair, sir. He's like, well, now you're Sergeant Sinclair.
Yeah, and he says, this corsage is a symbol of your rank. Wear it proudly.
Put it in the refrigerator at night.
Yeah, and remember, don't abuse your power unless it really gets you off. Which, I had to replay that part because I was like, they didn't say that. And yeah, they say, unless it really gets you off.
It's so...
I'm surprised that wasn't overdubbed.
It's so great.
Yeah, but then Earl reminds Robbie of that before he left, he called the whole thing crazy himself, which is because that's within Robbie's character. Like, he would think this is insane. And then, but Robbie's like fucking all jacked up on war now. He's like in love with it or some shit.
Yeah.
He's like, it's an adventure. I'm fighting for our right to snack.
That's right. And he's like, and Earl's just like, it's not worth it. He's like, 50 cents a pound.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like much if you think about it. So they've switched roles at this point, and he's trying to talk him down, but Robbie's like, there's no time to talk about it. This is war, Dad, and we're gonna win. And then he's just like, shouts like, follow me.
Yeah, and this
is that when he climbs up the ladder?
Yeah, he climbs up the ladder, which is crazy because it kind of moves. I don't know if you watch it. Like, he's gonna fall back.
Yeah, it's scary.
That's gotta, like, that's a heavy suit, and he's like climbing up this ladder. So
they do a lot of like interesting stuff. I think it's funny because you'll hear it next week in our conversation with Bill Beretta that they tried to not write too much of that kind of shit into the show because they were worried that they'd break the costumes and they were very expensive.
Yeah,
but they still couldn't, like, it was in Bill Beretta's nature for his character to do things like roll around or like dance and fall and like
yeah, like he pushed it a lot. Like he would, and I think even Gene was just like, he was always worried that something was gonna happen. Like when he
because his brother Gene was on set a lot of the times because he had nothing else to do. That he's like, fuck it, I'll hang out around this set.
Yeah,
but yeah, you'll hear more about that next week and you'll enjoy it. It was a really fun episode.
Yeah, and so Robbie goes out to fight, and Earl just has a look of concern, and then it goes to the sepia tone with the sad music,
and the little scene montage of clips. So and now we're gonna enter our conclusion of Nuts the War, Part 4, The Price of Nuts.
Yeah, and it cuts to DNN, and it's Nuts in Crisis Day 15.
Yeah, so at this point, according to Howard Handupme, all reports indicate the fighting is going splendidly, and a glorious victory for our troops is inevitable. And anyone who says otherwise is on this following list. And I wrote down all the ones that you could see in here, which is Hoffman, Rubin, Seal, Berrigan P, Berrigan D, Ellsberg, Kunstler, Fonda, Hayden, Hellman, Hammett, Trumbo, Lardner, Ritt, Bristol, Zappa, and Zimmerman.
Yeah.
And like a lot of them are references, like you mentioned before we recorded, Jane Fonda being one of the obvious references, and Frank Zappa is one of the obvious references, and I just thought that was kind of funny.
Would Seal be? Am I
Kiss of a Rose?
Is it Bobby Seal? Was Bobby Seal part of the Black Panthers, or am I just thinking of someone different?
I could be wrong. I mean, you could be right. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a few people that each one of these could be referencing, but I could imagine that because he was like, I remember learning about Bobby Seale while learning about like Huey P. Newton. So like,
yeah,
that's probably a pretty obvious one, I think too. Yeah, that's probably what that is.
But yeah, so it's basically just playing up the whole.
And you mean Marvel Black Panther, right? No,
yeah, Wakanda. So while the list is being read out too, Fran goes to the fridge and asks for water, and all the fridge food are like, they all have their flags waving.
Yeah, they're all wild patriots now too. Which is weird because they're the enemies of the Sinclairs, so you think the enemy of their enemy is their friend or whatever, but whatever. They're patriots now.
Yeah. So Earl gets home and there's no Robbie, and he's like super fucking paranoid. Like,
yeah.
And
he's saying all this patriotic shit while shutting the curtains. Like, no, everything's okay. We're doing great in our country. Just like keeping Big Brother out.
Yeah, and he's like, shut the curtain, Fran. He's like, she's like, what? He's like, and he looks out the window and he just like, he closes it himself. As
if the DSA haven't already wiretapped their house.
Yeah, I mean, their Alexa is already listening to them anyway.
Damn it, I can't think of a good dinosaur pun for Alexa. I already threw NSA into DSA. I'm all tapped out, but yeah. So once he has the house secured from the wiretapping, he's just like, Fran, it's really bad out there. Like, people are getting their eyes poked out. Everything we're told is a lie. Yeah. And he's like, I never thought I'd be saying this, but risking our sons just for nuts? It's wrong. But Fran's just like, why didn't he bring Robbie home? Like which is annoying to me. Fran could have just gone. She wouldn't even had a cross dress.
Yeah, she could have just been a dancer. Like,
she's a mother of 3. She still got her figure.
Yeah,
we know that because she was cheating on Roy or Earl with that Macedon wand in the frozen section.
Look at her thighs. That's crazy.
Thighs for days.
And yeah, so and then
check us out on OnlyFans.
And then during the whole thing, Earl, like, we talked about the role reversal, and Earl's just like, he believed all the stupid stuff I told him.
Yeah, his whole life he disagrees with everything I say. The one time he agrees with me, I'm wrong. As if Earl isn't always wrong.
Yeah, so Fran decides that she's gonna speak out against war and
against Guar.
Yeah, and Earl has the conflict of, you know, it's one thing to know in your heart something is morally wrong, but it's a whole other thing to open your big trap about it in public.
Yeah, and then Howard Handupme comes on the news for a special announcement about a young dinosaur died at war in battle today. It says the first casualty of war in the dinosaurs universe, and it was under a heavy barrage of sticks and stones.
Yeah, and then he looks off camera and he's like, "What? This wasn't supposed to be red."
And then he gulps. This is a dry swallow.
Yeah. There's a very Dan Rather. Is it Dan Rather who got in trouble for saying stuff on the air?
Maybe. I don't know.
There was another news person who lied about like flying in a helicopter.
Well, that's Brian Williams. Was that guy's name?
Yeah.
Yeah, the dad of the girl. I'm gonna call him whatever Williams' dad, because I remember his daughter was on the show Girls.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's one of that one idiot's friends. That chick who made the show's friends in the show.
Okay.
I can't remember. Lena Dunham's friend, but
yeah.
I don't remember her name right now. But yeah, Brian Williams, I think, is the news reporter.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, his daughter Allison Williams is an actress. So she's probably didn't lie about being in a helicopter. Or like the guy from the show The League who lied about being in 9/11.
Yeah, I know that.
That's so fucking weird. The one that isn't in the movie Creep, the other one.
And then so now we can assume that Howard's either dead or he's on that list now.
Yeah.
So
what should we lie about being there for? Oh, let's just say we were at the Sunoco for the Limp Bizkit show in Dayton, Ohio.
Oh yeah,
I have friends that were there. I can lie about that. But yeah, so yeah, it goes into please stand by mode on the TV because he said shit he wasn't supposed to say, and then it cuts to Earl looking sad as the scene fades.
Yeah,
and then this next scene is fucking funny.
Yeah, hang on 1 second, Zach, you can take this out if you want. I have to do something for my car real quick.
Okay, we're gonna take a quick break and we'll be back in just a moment.
Don't change the channel, because up next is another classic episode of Oh, Those Beckelsons. Arnie teaches Mikey about the birds and the bees, or maybe this time, it's Mikey who has something to teach Arnie. Then you gotta stick around and catch tonight's episode of Where's My Trousers? You're never gonna believe where Bernie hangs his trousers this time. All of this followed by a life-changing episode of Blah Blah Blah, Blah 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 Blah, Blah Blah Blah, Blah Blah Blah, Blah 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 Blah, and be sure to check out the #1 Dinosaurs podcast, Sinclairity A Dinosaurs Tale, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and blah 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 blah.
So yeah, back from our break now. So Earl is now at We Say So, and he's marching back and forth with a sign that says "We Are Wrong" with an R at the beginning.
Yeah, RONG.
Yeah, and then on the other side it said "Pistachio Eaters Against Chief Elders," which is peace. And you can hear like the labor friends are all like, "What the fuck is going on with Earl over there? What is this?" And they're like, "Roy, you need to talk to him." He's like, "Oh, I don't know."
It's like, "Hey, Earl, the fellas and I noticed that you're carrying a sign with subversive anti-government slogans on it."
Were you aware of that? And Earl's just like, "Roy, one of our boys died out there." Like, Earl's very serious in this episode. It's really weird.
And Roy's just like, hey, that was read by accident, and we were asked not to have heard it.
Yeah, so Roy's doing his part, he says. by pretending not to have heard it. And
he's in the civilian
you can hear the
sector,
workers.
you know?
Yeah, you can hear the workers behind him are muttering stuff like, "Yeah, that's right," like or whatever. But Earl rejoins with, "Hey Roy, that kid could have been Robbie. He could be Robbie because they still don't know who it is." He's like, "My son could be dead." And Roy's just like, "Well, I gotta check with somebody before I know if I can hear this or not."
And yeah,
but Earl's a soy boy now.
Yeah, he insists to stop the fighting and to bring the boys home
because Saturday is for the boys.
Yep.
Anyway,
and
BP Richfield then yells, "Sinclair, get in here now!"
Yeah, and Earl's like going in there, just like he's like, "I know exactly what you're gonna say."
You are meddling with the primal forces of nature.
Okay, so I'm not even close.
Perfect.
That's great.
And he's like, "Sinclair, you have no idea why we're fighting."
Pistachios.
And this is a good scene because this is very real. He's like, "This ain't about nuts. This is about the force beyond your understanding. A force that controls your life and shapes your destiny."
and Earl's just like, "You mean Fran?"
No, money. For years, our government has squandered money on affordable housing, education, healthcare. What a Republican. But he's like, now finally that money is going where nature intended it, to defense contractors.
Yeah, and he's got a bundle of sticks.
Look out, those are sticks.
They're loaded.
Earl treats them like they're grenades.
Yeah. It's like, is that thing alive? Is that thing live?
And he's just like, he's like, "What do you think happens when you push down these trees, Earl?" And Earl's just like, "You're selling the trees to buy sticks?" Does not know where sticks come from, clearly.
No, he just knows he pushes down the tree. He doesn't know what happens afterwards.
Yeah, so
they don't pay him enough for that.
Yeah, exactly. He can't afford encyclopedias. But Richfield mentions that, like, we make the sticks, and this is only the beginning. And he shows them a rock labeled P2000, the Peacekeeper 2000. I'm not talking about poked eyes. One of these babies could crack a whole head wide open. Which he says could end the hostilities in no time. If we weren't selling them to both sides.
Yeah, it's
just like if you remember that Bill Hicks bit about like the news reports like Afghanistan, they got incredible weapons. Like, well, how do you know? It's like, oh, we looked at the receipts.
Exactly.
It reminds me of like I remember Jello Biafra talked about like if like his like presidential bid in the 80s. Essentially, he was talking about his thing would be to buy up all the weapons from the Cold War and burn them all because they were just being sold throughout to different renegade groups and rebellion groups throughout the Middle East to like. I mean, the Cold War is still happening, let's be real.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, this is a reference to that essentially, is that we, as defense contractors, we sell this weaponry to countries that 10 years later we fight.
Exactly.
Like,
just like
it's bullshit.
Yeah, like we were talking earlier about the Middle East is like we basically gave like Osama bin Laden a bunch of weapons to fight the Russians.
Yeah,
who we saw
it's the whole thing.
More of a threat.
It's one of those things where people are like, Bush did 9/11. You're like, okay, but do you mean like the way that he really kind of did in a way? Like, is it our country did it? Or do you mean like the conspiracy theory bullshit? Because like, yeah, we made it happen. Like, it wasn't the exact plan. That's what happens when you play with fucking fire. It melts steel beams.
Yeah.
Like,
it's two meanings, Ben. Two meanings.
It has two meanings. But yeah, so this is a hard episode to not get like pissy during. But yeah. Earl points out, like, you'd sell these to the enemy, but, like, my son's out there. He could get killed. And, of course, Richfield's like, oh, I didn't know that. I also don't care. We know Richfield doesn't like Robbie specifically, too. They've had two run-ins before.
Even if he doesn't actually remember who Robbie is.
He wouldn't care either way.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was definitely an interesting scene.
It was great. It was probably included in that... that Donald Trump Richfield cut that someone made.
I bet it was, because this is definitely a good one for that. And but then it's funny because the TV cuts in like with a word from the Elder in Chief, and BP Richfield reaches for the remote immediately to turn it off. Don't bother reaching for your remote; it'll be on every channel.
Yeah. So the Elder in Chief, he like
George H.W. Bush.
Yeah, he's addressing the public. He's like, my fellow Pangeans, most of you know probably heard on television yesterday that one of our brave boys was killed.
Responsibility for the sad news must be placed where it belongs, with the press. The lamestream media.
Yeah, nothing has changed in this.
And he's like, as a result, my popularity has dipped several points and I am forced to take drastic action. And he says he's going to end the Operation We Are Right and bring the boys home. What's funny about this, though, is like we've gotten to a point with politics where they're like, yeah, my popularity dropped and I'm on a spiral now. Like this actually, he changed the course of events. Now it's like everyone nosedives. They take a Rudy Giuliani path with their life.
It kind of like, doubled down on being an idiot.
Exactly.
It's funny though, because I remember in the first episode when Earl was talking about Fran was talking about the like the likeliness that they'll like go to war and get to fighting, and Earl's just like, what do you mean, in an election year?
His misunderstanding of how politics work.
Yeah,
but it's funny because he says that like he's gonna bring him home, but he knows this won't restore faith in our system, so I'm also gonna cut the capital gains tax. And so that it ends that, and Richfield's just like, oh no, one boy dies and it's over. Kind of makes you understand the fragile nature of profits.
Yeah, that was great.
I do like Earl has that very like solemn delivery of like, I don't think I understand anything.
Yeah, and then we cut to B plot. Who cares? I do.
This is the conclusion of the who cares B plot.
I do like his outfit though. It is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I was kind of not paying attention to the scene. I was like, you know what? He's got the fucking like the bullet belt of crayons on him. He's got an army jacket, a meat tenderizer. Like it's funny. Yeah, he looks funny.
He had to like. They had to make all that stuff just for this 30-second scene.
A job I wish I had. Like, we mentioned in one episode about that must be a fun puppet to make, and I always still think about that. Like,
yeah,
just a lot of the like the art direction, the set design, the props. It's all beautiful. The Henson Company are geniuses. They just are.
Yeah, and he has.
We're not just saying that because now we've interviewed a couple of them. Don't want to bite the hand puppet that feeds.
Yeah, plus he's got like the goggles on, and he's crawling in there. Like we discuss how the magic is made in the interview.
Yeah, they have little like trenches, like just like in war, they have trenches on the set for puppeteers to be under it. It's pretty cool. Yeah. It's something that I don't think I directly saw in too many videos behind the scenes. Like that's really cool. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's footage out there, like tons of it. We need to get a hold of some footage from behind the scenes. I'm sure Gene might be able to hook us up even, like, because he's the family archivist or whatever.
Yeah, and so Baby finds the cookie creature and sees that it has little babies, and the creature's just like, you win, and tries to give the cracker back, and Baby's like, no, you can keep it. So
and then the baby's like, eat the cookie. Yeah. Oh. And it was just stupid, but it's outside of Baby's character, but fine.
Yeah,
he probably would not have cared, honestly. But it's weird because they want to do this whole micro war plot in between, but it's very obvious that ABC was like, "Where's the baby?"
Exactly.
Make a baby plot
from the desk of Michael Jacobs. Where's the baby?
Where's the baby? It's the Michael Jacobs moment of the episode.
I'd like to see the child.
It's a thing that comes up because we're in a few episodes. We're gonna have the co-host CJ and TC from Bruh Meets World, and they have like a thing in a lot of episodes where they're like, "This is the Michael Jacobs moment of the episode."
Yeah,
and it's pretty funny.
So,
but we go into Howard Handupme on TV,
who's not dead, I guess.
Yeah, they didn't kill him off.
That's
nice.
Maybe he's just reprogrammed.
They've got a new puppeteer. And he's like, in the wake of the withdrawal of the two armies, leaders from both sides have agreed henceforth to share pistachios equally. And unfortunately, nearly all the pistachio nut trees were destroyed in the battle. And meanwhile, military officials have still yet to release the name of the one soldier who was killed, which is wild.
Yeah, which is the total irony of, war, is that we're fighting over something and then we just end up destroying it anyway. Like,
yeah, it's I'm glad that people aren't like dinosaurs, that we do this way better.
Yeah, we got it all figured out after a couple million years, like Charlene said.
Exactly. But yeah, so Fran shouts that she can't take this anymore. Like, why don't they know who was killed? Why won't they tell us? And Ethel's just like, Fran, don't do this to yourself.
Earl is just like, that's right, sweetheart. It won't do us any good to imagine that Robbie is a rotting, lifeless corpse stinking up the battlefield.
That was a sad line to hear, too. It was funny that he said, but Ethel hits him with her cane, and Earl's like, it was meant to be comforting.
Okay, so I think this is an important, like, world-building episode, because throughout this entire series, well, as far as we are in season 2, like towards the end of season 2, right? We're pretty much towards the end of season 2.
Oh yeah, we only got like 2 episodes after this one, or 3 or 4. I don't know.
So this whole series, the idea and concept of death is just like, it's a joke. It's like a running gag in the series.
I don't remember if I put this in the notes or not, but I thought about this earlier when they were talking about cracking a skull open with a rock and throwing it 6. I'm like, they joke about people dying, or dinosaurs dying constantly, and like it's reference, or you see dinosaurs get eaten. It's so weird that they're suddenly placing some sort of like value on a life.
Yeah, and maybe it's because it's over nuts. I guess that's how the mental gymnastics that Earl had to do.
Yeah, because I guess a dinosaur eating another dinosaur, that's logical. He's got to eat something.
Yeah,
but like over nuts, when you could just have different nuts, like that's the thing.
Also, why did the dinosaurs just eat each other? Like the 2-leggers could have just eaten the 4-leggers. Like, it would have been a big deal, you know?
Yeah, it's just weird. It changes the dynamic in a way of how dinosaurs interacted for this plot line to make sense.
Yeah.
Because it was already established that the death wasn't a big deal, so it's weird.
I thought that was the overarching kind of world building that we do on this podcast.
Yeah,
it's very
and
we kind of tossed it aside for just these 2 episodes.
And it's funny because Ethel throws in the thing like about how, like, you know, it got us into this mess, you stupid males and your precious pistachios. Like, the thing is, it's like, yeah, that also world builds with us. We've been saying that these males have been doing everything wrong this whole series.
Exactly.
But it's funny because Earl decides to finally try cashews. He's like, damn, these are pretty good.
He's like, you don't have to take them out of the shell. Yeah.
Which, before, he said the challenge was the whole reason he liked the shell. Like, he liked pistachios because they were hard to open.
He's like, I wish I knew about this a month ago.
So now Robbie comes in with his own take on Honey, I'm Home, which is, hey, anybody home? And they all get all excited, and like, also, notice how, if anyone watching this, Charlene has a sick fucking jacket on in this scene.
Yeah, it's got
the fashion design on her fucking clothes are dope.
It's got like checkerboards, so ska.
Yeah, and a few other patterns. Like, it's very interesting.
Is it supposed to be like a kind of like Versace kind of like?
I don't know.
Because don't they like? I don't know either.
This is out of our territory.
Yeah,
we'll get into this, and when we get into Slave the Fashion
exactly.
episode. But yeah, so I just want to take a note because Charlene, it's always interesting because she's like the one who gets the most costume changes, and it's fun to watch. But yeah, they're all excited because Robbie's home, and like Charlene mentions to Robbie that she heard someone got killed, and it kind of pauses him for a second, but he's just like, oh yeah, it was like some new guy, but we could have won though.
Yeah,
like, he's poisoned. Robbie has been poisoned. Our beautiful soy boy lefty commie pinko fuck is poisoned. He's red pilled fully.
Yep. And Earl is just like, but someone died and it wasn't worth it, and like it didn't solve anything. Yeah.
And he just has like this brainwashed look in his eyes this whole scene, and he's like, forget school, I'm not going back to school again. A bunch of us guys are talking about keeping the army together. We're gonna have drills and set up a base at the swamp, so we'll be ready for next time. Like, it's wild.
Yeah, and he's basically got like PTSD, like
yeah, some bloodlust, some PTSD going on.
Like
it's changed his view of how life works, I guess.
Yeah, and Earl, and this Earl has to be the voice of reason.
Yeah, Earl's now the perspective character.
Yeah, he's like, you're not a soldier, you're just a kid. Like, you gotta go to dances and drive me crazy.
Yeah. And he's like, you're gonna lead a normal kid's life until it's time for you to grow up. And he's just like, Dad. And he's like, it's okay, son. He's like, it's not your fault. He's like, shut up. It's not your fault. Wait, never mind. That's a different movie. That's Robbie Williams and Matt Damon. But pretty much it turns into that Good Will Hunting scene for a second.
Yeah, they hug it, and honestly, it was kind of touching. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I think it was too, because like you can see the look in Robbie's eyes as he kind of like gets it for like he's like starting to realize like the way he's talking is not him.
Yeah, but
it's weird though. You can tell that this is a writer, that this is their first episode as being like the writer for the main writer, because it definitely like it was weird roles for most of these characters to take on.
Yeah, it kind of flipped the whole world upside down. Like there's a lot of character changes for these characters.
But I'm sure it was probably part of that was very intentional, because Robbie got drafted, and like like the way that like the military works, it would change his view of things. It would like, I mean, it's very like, it's an indoctrinating type group. It's weird.
Yeah, they separate you from everything around you, and you kind of get this like pack mentality, because you train every day with the people that you know.
It's a cult.
It's like a cult. Yeah, it is very regimented, and people have ranks and everything like that. Because I mean, as we saw, Robbie is a sergeant now.
Yeah, he's a sergeant.
Yeah. Sergeant Pepper.
Yeah,
that's what he was dressed like.
Okay.
Yeah,
first. I mean, but that was because it was the chief elder's unmarried brother Julian designed the costumes. But yeah, so yeah, that's the end of the episode, is Earl hugging Robbie and shaking his head sadly, and like it's over.
You get the little sepia tone portraits of the whole family.
Yeah, they close out the little mini-series satire. But yeah, I mean, it was these were 2 good episodes. Like they were good.
It was good.
It's definitely dated for sure. It definitely like there were like different jokes and things in it that just were like dumb, and like we can have, it's fun because it's puppets, and that's their whole thing too throughout it. They're always like, we can get away with anything because they're puppets.
Exactly.
But like a lot of it's still like relevant.
Yeah, like though, the jokes are dated, but the actual content is relevant.
Yeah, the message lingers, and it's interesting. Yeah, it's a weird show. We get a few episodes that just don't really have any kind of commentary on anything that matters, and they're just goofy. And then like some episodes are very focused on like the social commentary.
Yeah, so it's kind of all over the place. But like you said, it's puppets, so they can get away with pretty much anything.
Yeah. It's funny because even when you look at the behind the scenes shit on the DVDs, they like one of the directors or whatever talks about like having a writer's room full of Democrats is what he refers to it as, and I think it's funny.
a bunch of soy boys and granola heads.
Yeah. Cuckwads.
Cuckwads. That's a new one.
That's our new thing.
That's a new one.
Yeah, if anybody wants to add me on RuneScape, my username is Cuck Soup. But so yeah, that was the end of that episode, and I don't really know if we have too many conclusive thoughts or whatever, because we said it throughout pretty heavily.
Yeah, we said it throughout and kind of at the beginning too, so
yeah. But like we said, next week we're going to be doing, next week is not Slave to Fashion. I have it wrong on here. Mm-hmm. Right? Next week is going to be And the Winner Is. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited about that. And then next week is Bill Beretta. It's the interview with Bill and Gene.
The next actual episode.
Yeah, but then the next actual episode, if you want to get ready for it, is And the Winner Is from season 2. They're out of order on like Disney Plus and shit, like and like in general, but like it's going to be And the Winner Is next, and then Slave to Fashion after that. So if you run into that confusion, we're with you there.
Yeah, and we'll have for that episode, we will have the Bruh Meets World hosts.
Yeah, Siege and TC, and that'll be a lot of fun. You should check out their podcast. You can get it on Spotify, Podbean, YouTube, Apple Podcast. Spotify's missing some episodes. I recommend going straight to Podbean, the source for that one. That's also who we use for our hosting. And
they don't pay us to say that.
yeah. So we've never mentioned it, but it is who we use. We pay to use it, so fuck them.
But Also, it's basically a podcast about Boy Meets World. Like, that's...
Yeah, which is a show we've mentioned a few times on here because I know that I'm a huge fan. I know Tim likes it. So, like,
yeah.
I don't think you've watched it as an adult, though, for real.
I don't hate it, that's for sure. Like,
it's a good show.
If it was on, I wouldn't be like, I'll turn this off. Like Sex in the City or something like that.
That's your go-to. Anything with females, right? Is that what it is, Tim? But
no, I love iCarly.
And also, thanks to Jeremy Hunter from Scotch Network for doing our theme song. And you can check them out at Scotch Network and We Are the Union, and all that's on Spotify, YouTube. You can subscribe to their Patreon. You can go to @AmyShenanigans on Instagram. That's the person, Amy, who did our logo, did like the portraits of me and Tim for our logo. And also, that's the whole crew, right?
Yeah, and thanks to former Home Depot employees Zachary George.
Yeah, Lowe's employees. Yeah, but thanks to Zach George for editing and producing the podcast. I think he's getting pretty close to putting out the Groundhog Day podcast. He's mentioned having like a lot of the season done.
That's cool.
So that's gonna be cool. We'll start promoting that.
I can't believe he
no promo.
He quit his job so he could produce this show. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I can't believe
it's cool.
Can't believe he
especially since we charge him to edit. He pays us because he wants those raw cuts. He's into those raw cuts.
Yeah, I can't believe a married father of two would quit his job to edit a podcast about a TV show from the 90s.
To be fair, he did say "fuck them kids." So, but anyway, we love Zach, Amy, Jer. We love the whole crew. And also, like we said at the beginning, check out nqapia.org. You can find that link in our description, as well as a link for Black Lives Matter resources and a link for Louisiana Fair Housing Act resources.
Yeah.
So if you're having issues with homelessness or facing homelessness or eviction, you can find a lot of useful resources there.
Yeah, and we'll also throw a link in there for other anti-Asian services that you can find.
Yeah,
well, not anti.
Eventually,
you know what I mean.
Good job. Good job. But yeah, we're gonna end up having the most link heavy description in the world, but it's fine because it's all important and you should check it out. And like I said, if you need any information on this kind of stuff, you can email us, Sinclairity Podcast. You can also ask us questions about Dinosaurs World and about the show, and we'll mention you on air and shit. Like, we'll say your name if you want us to. We won't say your name if you don't want us to. Like, we're easy.
Yeah, just make up a name for all we care.
Yeah, you can give us a funny dinosaur name. It works for us. And yeah, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook at A Dinosaurs Tale. And I think that's it. Also go to Apple Podcasts and like and rate or whatever, review us, give us 5 stars, say that we're sexy and you know it. And because I don't know what that does, but apparently it does something.
It helps with the algorithms.
It helps Al Gore find his rhythm, which is what is important.
Because he doesn't have any. I'll tell you that.
That's the inconvenient
He's
truth.
got a sick beard, though. When he grew out his beard that one time, it looks pretty sick.
Yeah. It was pretty fucking sick. But yeah, thanks for joining us again this week. And I hope you all enjoy your extinction.
Yep. Goodbye.